I feel incredibly loyal and responsible to the original show. I have a great kind of desire to even be in the same room as that show because it was a game changer.
George and his writing was a huge influence on me. It's an incredible feeling to achieve my dream job. You get that great call, which is the thing that every writer is hoping for, telling you we're going to go make this thing. And you're happy for a few seconds. And then you realize the responsibility that's on your shoulders.
I'm excited. It's always a little apprehensive when you turn your baby over to foster parents, but I'm involved in this. It's great to have Ryan, who's a great writer and someone who really knew my world. He's going to do his best to remain faithful to it. I knew Miguel Sapochnik was an amazing director. He'd won an Emmy, he'd done some of our best episodes. There's always a little suspense to how good is it going to be. But I think I'm in good hands with Ryan and Miguel.
The idea of going back to Westeros was almost too much of a challenge. You have to start by respecting it. You can't start by doing different for different sake.
He saw some of the things that I saw, and it wasn't just a prequel for prequel's sake. There was actually a reason to tell this story.
It really was seeing it through a different perspective that interested me.
Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne.
George's work really is a truly immersive world. There's unexplored deep recesses and thousands of years of history.
Realizing what worked in Thrones, what didn't. What do we want to better? How do we want to evolve?
The biggest sets I've ever been on, the biggest locations I've ever been on, the biggest crews I've ever seen, it's staggering. We do really see the creative world very similarly.
We're going to start just a more grounded, more intimate way.
We're going to go off and go on this great adventure together.
What a great new chapter in the Game of Thrones saga.
Welcome back, everyone. Happy Comic-Con week. This is going to be my new House of the Dragon Game of Thrones video. They dropped a bunch of new footage, so we'll break it down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. I will be doing videos for all the episodes, and we are going to be getting even more trailer footage this week, so there'll be another video later this week as well. I'm also going to be going to the premiere of House of the Dragon, but they're just going to be showing episode 1. I don't know when I'm going to be allowed to post my non-spoilery review, but as soon as they let us, of course I'll post a non-spoilery review. But the new trailer video obviously starts with the new showrunners, completely different showrunners than Dan and Dave. Dan and Dave aren't involved with the new show. The new showrunners and George R. Martin hyping up the show and explaining how they treated it versus the main Game of Thrones show. Now, there are a lot of familiar things, a lot of familiar places, designs, but that are depicted in very different ways because of the way they treated things at this earlier point in the timeline. Like, most of the scenes feature Dragonstone and the Red Keep, but they show them in very different ways. They look very different, like there are dragon designs all over everything, because what happened is later in the timeline, after Robert's Rebellion, when Robert Baratheon took the Iron Throne, he basically had all the Targaryen stuff wiped from the Red Keep as much as possible. The series is meant to take place about 200 years before the events of the main show, before Robert's Rebellion. That's why it looks so much more ornate during all these new trailer scenes. I'll point out some of the cool Easter eggs as we go along, because there are some really funny and some really cool Easter eggs that they worked in behind the scenes. The other big thing here too is George R. Martin being involved with the series. So actually what happened is he hired Ryan Condal first to adapt Fire and Blood into the show itself, then it became a show at HBO. So even though there are like 7+ Game of Thrones spin-offs, prequels, sequel shows that they're developing right now, including the Jon Snow sequel series, House of the Dragon started life specifically as George R. Martin's show that he was developing and that he brought other people on before he went to HBO and said, hey, make this show. After that, they basically wound up poaching all the best talent from the original Game of Thrones main show and bringing them to House of the Dragon. So that's how they got Miguel Sapochnik, who most of you will probably remember as the director of Battle of Bastards, Hardhome, pretty much like all the biggest, best episodes of Game of Thrones. That's why when he starts talking, they show footage from Battle of the Bastards and from Hardhome. A lot of this trailer is meant to show you the architecture specifically on the show and how detailed they got with it. All these up-close designs of all the dragons, like all these dragon moldings all over everything, like I said, mostly meant to be inside the Red Keep and in and around the Dragonstone Castle. There's a little bit of footage on Driftmark. I'll point that out when we get to that part of the trailer. There's also footage of a bunch of different battle scenes, and it seems like it's from the same battle and a couple tournament scenes that I'll point out as we get to that part too. It wouldn't be a Game of Thrones show if there weren't any giant battles. One of the jokes about Game of Thrones that a lot of people tell is that especially in the earlier seasons, some of the best episodes were just about them having really, really good meetings. So I think they brought a lot of that back during House of the Dragon. Like, yes, they will do big spectacular battles, but a lot of it will feel like the dramatic stuff that you remember from the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones. They show you a lot of footage from the inside of this particular room inside the Red Keep. Notice all the dragon lights all along the walls up the staircase here. This is the same room with the open ceiling that we saw Cersei in during Season 7 with a big map of Westeros drawn on the floor. Obviously, like I said, when Robert Baratheon won Robert's Rebellion, he basically had all signs of Targaryen everything, like all their designs, all their sigils, all their artifacts just kind of wiped from the Red Keep as much as possible. That's why he moved all of the dragon skulls down to a lower floor so that he didn't have to look at them. Cersei also kind of sarcastically joked that he would bring some of his women down here from time to time too. Probably one of the other biggest parts of the trailer though is this crazy room inside Dragonstone with the skull of Balerion the Black Dread. I think that it's in Dragonstone. It could be somewhere inside the Red Keep though. But just based on the look of the architecture and the walls, it seems like it's inside Dragonstone. So just to be clear, at this point in the timeline when the show picks up, Balerion the Black Dread has already died. This is meant to be his skull, and this room around him just seems like a ceremonial burial chamber meant to honor him. A lot of people wondered what's going on here with it being surrounded by the skulls of a bunch of other dead Targaryen soldiers, it seems like. It all seems like they have similar headwear, and their appearance just makes it seem like it's meant to be ceremonial, like they're meant to either protect or serve Balerion in death. Also, if you look in the background too, the mural all around the walls of this particular room seem like the story of the Targaryen family just drawn onto the walls. A lot of the other footage is meant to show you in and around the Iron Throne room and in and around the brand new but old Iron Throne, now made from many, many more swords than you saw during the original show. The funny way they're explaining this is that it's meant to be more book accurate. It was made of thousands of swords that were melted down by Balerion the Black Dread by Aegon the Conqueror. This is what it actually looks like in the books, but because that's incredibly impractical to film in a room like this, the version on House of the Dragon is meant to look like The Compromise, but because there's still hundreds of swords that they had to use as props to create this, they actually worked in a bunch of Easter eggs. So like there are swords from The Witcher, there's some Warcraft swords that they worked in here. And those are just meant to be fun Easter eggs, like obviously kind of breaks the universe if you think about crossing over with The Witcher and Warcraft and other big fantasy universes. It's just the production designers and the showrunners having a little bit of fun behind the scenes. So let me know if you think you can spot the Warcraft swords and the Witcher swords in here in the Iron Throne. This is a new scene of Graham McTavish in the Kingsguard. Graham McTavish is playing Harold Westerling. He was Lord Commander of the Kingsguard under Viserys I Targaryen. When he died, before the actual Dance of the Dragons, before the Civil War, Criston Cole became the Lord Commander. That's who this is. You also see scenes of him fighting Daemon Targaryen where he's wearing his giant dragon armor and wielding the Dark Sister Valyrian blade. There's a couple scenes with Daemon Targaryen wielding Dark Sister. Like this is meant to be a completely different battle scene during a different part of the timeline. All the dragon armor here is actually meant to be similar to the dragon armor that Rhaegar eventually wore later in the timeline. But the thing with Dark Sister is that Valyrian blade actually wound up being wielded by the Blood Raven, who then took the black and then went north of the wall to become the Three-Eyed Raven, and supposedly he just took the sword with him when he went to become the Three-Eyed Raven. So theoretically during the main show, when the Night King and the White Walkers attacked the Weirwood while Bran was being trained, Dark Sister was inside the tree with them while that was happening. There are a couple other Valyrian blades that we see during the trailer. There's a dagger that Daemon Targaryen is holding, but it's not the same cat's paws dagger, like it's a completely different hilt, completely different blade. Even though there were a lot more Valyrian weapons during this period in history, they were still incredibly rare and incredibly valuable, so it wasn't just like everybody and their sister had a Valyrian blade. The funny thing about the cat's paws dagger too, that you see an older version of Alicent wielding, attacking older Rhaenyra with, like she's trying to stab her with this Valyrian dagger. The showrunner actually said that it's not meant to be the actual cat's paws dagger, even though it looks almost exactly the same. They said it is the same prop, like it is the actual same physical dagger, but they redesigned it and they wanted it to be a different dagger on the show, which seems kind of weird. But the other big notable Valyrian blade is actually wielded by Viserys I Targaryen, and it's Blackfire, the sword that belonged to Aegon the Conqueror. The reason that sword was a big deal is because it was passed down from each new Targaryen king after Aegon the Conqueror, and it was meant to be sort of like a right to rule. Eventually, it got lost during the later Blackfire rebellions after most of them lost and then went to the east to form the Golden Company. There's also a lot of scenes of the map table room inside Dragonstone, like this dragon on the wall here is from inside the map table room. They've obviously upgraded everything. They've upgraded the map table itself, like you can see little candles in the grooves here just to light it up. Most of the scenes that we see inside the map table room are from the older version of Rhaenyra later in the timeline. It seems like she holds a lot of her war councils there as they get ready for the actual Dance of the Dragons. There's a bunch of other really cool details in this trailer here, but probably the other biggest thing is all the extra footage from what seems like the first episode of the Great Council of 101 inside Harrenhal. That's where King Jaehaerys presided. That's what's happening here, like they're walking up to King Jaehaerys as he presides over all the lords in the realm who were voting for Viserys I, his younger grandson, to be the next king. Originally, Viserys I was lower in the line of succession than Princess Rhaenys, this person here, but the Lords of the Realm did not want her as their next ruler, so they voted almost unanimously against her at the Great Council. It was like 20-to-1 vote against her. There's so much going on during these moments in history, we'll see how much time they spend on it during the episodes, but if I need to, I will do bonus videos about things specifically in episodes, because everything that happens during all these different periods is a really big deal. But like I said, it is Comic-Con week. There are trailers coming for so many different things. I'll try to do videos for as much stuff as possible. There's a bunch of Marvel trailers that'll be dropping. A lot of the big movie panels will be happening on Saturday. The new House of the Dragon trailer is supposed to come on Friday, so I'll post a new video for that when it gets released. If there's any Easter eggs or any questions that you have about the series, just write them below in the comments and I'll try to add them to my trailer video that I do on Friday for this. I've done a couple new House of the Dragon videos recently. I'll put the links for them down in the description below. Everyone click here for my brand new Black Panther 2 Doctor Doom video, and click here to learn about the Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel series. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.